everyone, Ruthless Rain here. Welcome to another video. This is going to be a pretty cool, different kind of video today. Just going to talk about what's been on my mind with a few things. Talk about what's been happening in 2020 so far with things like the coronavirus and things, and talk about how it may affect Pokemon in the future. And I also want to talk about how, my strategy with Pokemon and collecting cards has changed with recent events with PSA and the market, and how, I plan to do what my strategy will be going forward. So first of all, I guess a bit of background about how, if you have been following the channel for a couple of years, what's kind of how I've made my Pokemon collection editions has mostly been buying the ungraded versions of the card, sending them to PSA, and getting the PSA grades, ideally the 10 or the 9s for most cards. Now that's really how I've acquired probably 90% of my cards. I don't really buy many cards. Well, not in the past, I haven't anyway. And so mostly that's how it worked, and it was working really well for a long time. I'd be buying ungraded copies on eBay or a local listing. I'd be checking out the condition, and if I was happy, I'd pay. Most of the time, pretty good prices as well. And then I could grade those cards at PSA, and potentially the value of what I'd got from ungraded to graded. If it was a PSA 10, like the value was crazy. Like sometimes in some cases, like 5-10 times the value of what I paid for the ungraded copy. So it was a really great financial way of me getting my collection going, and it built it up to a great point where it is today. Fast forward to now though, it's not really working the same way, and there's two reasons to that. First reason will be PSA, and the other reason will be the general supply of cards, which I'll talk about in a sec. So that was my strategy previously, but let's look at these two things. So first of all, PSA. So PSA has changed quite a lot over the last 6 months, to the point now where I would call them almost inconsistent. The grades are quite hard to kind of gauge what you're going to get. The times for the packages to be processed is really slow. When you get your cards back, you don't know what you're going to get. You could submit 2 non-holos, really good condition, which in the old days probably would have been easy 10s, and one will get a 9 and one will get a 7, and you're like, I don't even know what the difference is. And it's just the inconsistency is frustrating because, you're not expecting an inconsistent kind of result from PSA. So PSA is hard to grade. Just as an example, a really nice clean card I submitted in my last submission was this 9 Registeel. Gold star, really clean, super clean. Back in the day, a 10, just a 9. Nothing, maybe it is a 9. I haven't gone over the card with a microscope, but just an example of just an unusual kind of thing that would happen. But this is that happens to thousands of people, and you kind of just scratching your head a bit. You're like, what's going on here? So PSA's inconsistency has been a bit hard like that. So that's made grading, even though the cost of grading is much the same, that has made grading less appealing. Because if you're grading with PSA, you're not really sure what you're going to get, and you're probably likely to get very little 10s, which really make it worthwhile. On the other hand, you've got the supply. So the supply of cards, and I'm talking about, in this case, ungraded cards. So as Pokemon has built up in the hobby, there's been more and more interest and collectors coming in, which is fantastic. I love it. Pokemon is really fun, and it's great for everyone to get involved in. But it has made, getting ungraded cards in mint condition a lot harder. And that is because that there is less out there. People know what to look for. And, most of the cases, if you put up a good deal, people are, sort of looking right as we speak under newly listed for bargains, and they're snapping them up straight away. So, the chance of finding really good copies of mint ungraded cards for a reasonable price is a lot harder now. So if you think about coming back to my old strategy, right, of grading ungraded cards, hoping for 10s, it was previously working pretty well because I was getting lots of cards at, reasonable prices. In fact, good prices, really. But that's because that's what the market was at the time. Now, though, it's hard because not only is the supply of those mint cards really low, they're also, they're fairly expensive. And a lot of the cards on the market, the market's flooded with cards, people saying, near mint, and you look at the back of them, there's massive dents or whitening, and you're like, this isn't, I can't grade this. So it's just really been quite hard to find good cards. And to put it in perspective, I look most evenings when I'm with my wife, if we're watching Netflix or Disney Plus, pardon me. And I'll be checking eBay, just looking for deals. Like I'll be looking for Pokemon First Edition cards, holo cards, base set, booster packs, anything that looks like a deal. And to be honest, in the last month, like that's a lot of nights searching. I only ever found one deal, and that was a Dark Alakazam for about $22 USD. It's actually a PSA 10 candidate, but like that's a lot of searching just for one card. Like back in the day, I was finding like, when I say back in the day, I'm talking maybe 2017, early 2018. I was finding like a card every couple days, easy. So it's a lot harder now. So basically, if you think about everything I've said with that strategy and PSA, it's not as attractive anymore to grade. And I personally, like, I have a shadowless Charizard at PSA right now, mainly because I just want it in a nice case, and it's a shadowless Charizard. It's a really crazy pickup. But after that, I'm probably not going to grade in the meantime, not because I don't want graded cards. It's just like the balance of like what will likely happen to me is really out of favor for me now, and I just can't be bothered with that. So I'm most likely just going to be buying graded cards or booster packs. So I'll come into my strategy, go into my strategy further end of the video, but to just talk a little bit about coronavirus. So that's been pretty crazy, hasn't it? So that's really obviously been a massive issue the last couple of months. I am by no means an expert, and no one out there really knows, no matter what their qualifications are or experience, what is going to happen. But I can say with some confidence that the uncertainty and the potential of economical, issues is definitely there. We just don't know how bad it will be. And what does it mean for Pokemon? Well, it means for Pokemon, if you think about, let's just say, for example, I'm a person working in the hospitality industry, and I get shifts per week, and I have to pay my rent, I've got a car, and I've got a few little Pokemon cards to the side. Let's just say this economical issue keeps arising, like and I have less shifts or no shifts. Now, if I need to pay my rent, am I going to sell my car, or am I going to sell my Pokemon cards? If you talk about the collectors on YouTube, they're probably going to sell their car first, which is quite funny. But in reality, like the general collector would probably sell their Pokemon cards first. And that is a really high level, basic example. But you get that premises on thousands of people, and like everyone will be putting their cards on eBay. And what's going to happen? What happens when there's heaps of cards on eBay? Everyone just wants to undercut each other for a sale. So potentially, if like the economy went really bad, because like, let's be honest, as gorgeous as Pokemon cards are, they're not an essential life item. You don't need a Pokemon card to live. So they would be being sold. So it could be bad for the Pokemon value, but all my recommendation is just don't panic. Just monitor what's going on, and if you need to sell your cards because you need it for an essential situation, I think you should sell them. But someone like myself, probably just going to hold on to them and wait and see, because I really enjoy them and I get a lot of fun and enjoyment out of them. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what happens with that, and who knows really. Every day another report or article comes out and you kind of read it and you go, oh wow, that's interesting. But we'll just have to wait and see. It'll be pretty crazy, potentially a couple of months, but we'll just find out what happens. To summarize, so yeah, and I'd like to talk now about what my 2020 strategy is. My strategy for the next month, because of the uncertainty of the virus, is probably just to hold. I don't really want to sell my cards at the moment, and I don't really want to buy any more cards just yet. What I would say though is, because of the issues with PSA, I am kind of inclined now, if I would really want a card, just to go for the PSA 10. Like for example, if I want to get a Neo Destiny Shining, like this is a gorgeous one I bought outright. Look at this one, absolutely fantastic, Shining Noctowl, beautiful card. Instead of suffering around trying to find one of these ungraded, sending it to PSA and waiting God knows how long, I'll just go out and buy this card. Yes, it's financially, more, but you're getting the PSA 10 copy, it's in your hand or your post box or whatever, and you know what you're getting. Like that's the certainty. Like, because PSA has created so much uncertainty, buying the PSA 10 copy is that, like, oh, I know what I'm getting. I'm crossing it off the list. So that would be my strategy for the cards, which I, as I raise funds, would be looking at. Apart from that, some other strategies. Actually, an interesting strategy I saw on Instagram from a user, Jablol. He's got a new Instagram account now. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but it's looking for those new certs like the 4/4 ranges and looking for the mint 9s, because a lot of the mint 9s are actually really clean copies that PSA has been grading, and whether or not you resubmit them one day, who knows. But I guess that also comes down to the basic principle of buy the card, not the grade. And I think it's buy the card, not the slab. And that makes sense really, because at the end of the day, you can tear the slab apart, but the card is what you get. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting year really, to see what happens. But Pokemon itself over the last, particularly 6 months, some massive growth. Booster boxes in particular have just gone out of control. I mean, can anyone be really surprised though? Let's look at booster boxes, okay? Iconic, always being opened, limited supply, and huge, not huge, but more, more and more collectors want them. I mean, of course they're going to go up. Like, probably the ones that have surprised me the most have been like the Neo Genesis has been interesting, like Neo Destiny, Skyridge base set, they're just like always going to go up. But even Fossil's gone up a lot, and I think that's great. And Team Rocket, just beautiful sets, great artworks. I mean, how old are they? They'd be just over 20 or 20 years old. So beautiful cards and sets, so they deserve to go up. And I hope whatever happens in the next year that the Pokemon community just sticks together and doesn't freak out and supports each other when they can, and continues to enjoy the beautiful cards and artworks, because that's what is Pokemon. So yeah, I guess that's my strategy. Yeah, just buy the 10s if I want the copy. Just might as well buy it, even if it's some more money, just for the uncertainty gone. And I'll continue looking for fun for ungraded copies. But in the meantime, I'm probably not going to go to grade any with the PSA, just because by the time I pay for the fees and the shipping and outright, like I could honestly just get a card myself. I guess that's my strategy for now, guys. What do you guys think? What's yours plans for the year? Has PSA affected how you've been planning to collect cards? Let me know in your comments below, and thanks for tuning in. Please subscribe for future videos. The Shell's Charizard is at PSA, so he is there. It took him about 2 weeks just to from scanning the package in to putting the order in. So it's just PSA logic of things taking forever. But who knows? I'm interested to see that one come back. But after that, we'll probably just leave the PSA grading for now and maybe just go more for hunting deals. We'll see what happens. Thanks for tuning in. Ruthless Rain checking out. Enjoy whatever you're up to. Thank you very much. Cheers.